Hi, I'm Mike Cintolo, editor of Cabot Market Letter and Cabot Top 10 Report, and I'm here with your Cabot Weekly Review. Well, the market had another good go of it this week, continuing to grind higher. Now, while that's not the most exciting action, we do think it's quite bullish. As we take a look at the chart of the NASDAQ Composite, again, you can just see the huge run we've had since early February, and really the straight up run since the beginning of March when the market confirmed this latest uptrend. Normally, at this point in the cycle, or even a couple of weeks ago, you'd start to see maybe a 3% pullback or a shakeout, and then a rally, and then a pullback, and you get some consolidation and choppiness and before you eventually resume the up move. So far now, let me clean up the chart. So far, there's been some wild days where you see a big reversal during the day or something like that, but for the most part, the NASDAQ really hasn't been able to pull back much. In fact, it's advanced on balance over the past 3 or 4 weeks. To us, that's bullish. It's just telling you that the sellers really can't gain any traction and that the buying is just continuous. Every time there's a pullback of a day or two or even an hour or two, some people step in, at least for the best stocks, and that is usually a bullish sign going forward. Now, with earnings season coming up, we do think a pullback is possible, of course, but this action right here is definitely bullish. So then the question becomes, again, as I clean up the chart, the indexes are still relatively extended. A lot of stocks are extended. They've had good runs, and earnings season is coming up. So, what do you buy without taking on too much risk? My advice is to look for things that are liquid, institutionally sponsored, and importantly, have shown very good buying volume clues of late. Let me give you a few examples on both sides of the fence. Here's Salesforce.com, CRM. We like this stock. We think it's probably heading higher over time. But just notice how there really hasn't been that much blue buying, big blue spikes down here on the way up. There's been some, but not many. And then, the stock tried to break out a couple days ago. Volume was good, not great. It's sort of pulling back and chopping around. Overall, we think it looks fine. But, if the market has a little trouble, this might consolidate a little bit longer before getting going. Contrast that with something like Las Vegas Sands, okay? The volume down here has just been enormous on the upside. I mean, it's trading more than $1 billion a day as the stock skyrockets right out, breaks out and just continues higher. Clearly, there are a lot of institutions there, and this just gives you confidence that in the near term, any pullback is likely buyable. I mean, I'm not saying if it gaps down 20% on earnings, you want to be buying it, but any normal pullback, as we've seen for a few days, is probably going to lead to more buying because it's clear the institutions are still accumulating it. Something that's a little bit in the middle would be F5 Networks. Now, this one hasn't had any great volume lately, but during these 3 days right here, it had big and accelerating volume on the upside as it kind of broke out of this little 5-week base area. And notice how, like the market, it really hasn't been able to give up any of those gains. It's chopped around, it's had a downgrade or two and all this stuff, but overall, it's still grinding higher. And we think it's a decent buy here, maybe a little bit on weakness. But, considering these bars will probably provide support on any pullback, plus you have the 50-day moving average, that's something you want to get into. If you are looking at things that are a little less liquid, like here's Lululemon, you want to make sure the volume is just overwhelming. And here was a case where they just reported earnings, so that's out of the way, number one. Obviously, the reaction was good. The stock was up 10%. Volume was many times its average. And the stock has continued higher on pretty big volume ever since. So again, that will tell you that maybe it doesn't pull back, but if you do get a pullback of a point or two, there should be a lot of good support in this area, even though it's a little bit of a thinner name. So that's what you want to look for, is liquidity and especially huge volume clues that tell you the institutions have been taking positions recently and that they will support the stock in any weakness. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Thanks for being here. Come by again next week for another Cabot Weekly Review.